What's up, guys? Welcome back to Picture Breakdown. This is going to be my breakdown of the Bad Batch episode 14, War Mantle. I'm going to be going through this episode shot by shot for interesting visual details, hidden references, as well as any background information that you might need to know. This episode, there was so much Orbesh that I was able to translate for you guys, and I can't wait to get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to be notified for every future Bad Batch episode breakdown. Spoiler warning for Bad Batch episode 13. Alright, so let's start off with the title of this episode, War Mantle. War Mantle is the title of the project enacted by the Empire to switch from the clone troopers of the Republic to the new conscription soldiers, or the stormtroopers of the Empire. It was in this episode that the Bad Batch found out about the Empire's plans to do this, and they fought against multiple squadrons of stormtroopers. So we open with the clone commander on the run after he had just escaped from the Imperial facility, and we see him get shot with a stunner in the legs, which results in his legs being partially stunned. This is the only time I believe that we have seen a stun shot not completely incapacitate someone when they're hit. This is a newly established rule that to completely stun someone, you have to hit their torso, as we later see happen to him. They get a call from Rex to go rescue another clone on the planet Darrow, and when they get there, Hunter shows off his two abilities, starting off with tracking, and then when they get to the mountain, he says,
"There's something here, inside that mountain,"
showing off his other ability to sense electromagnetic fields from anywhere on a planet. They get into the facility, and Echo begins to search the database to try to find the clone that they're after. A screen shows up with some Orbesh, and going from left to right, it says floor, then top view, then perspective view, then touch for details. Another screen then pops up, and it says base schematics, then floor K62, H21, and G78. They get to the clone cell, and they find out that the clone is Gregor. We've only seen Gregor once in Clone Wars in the episode Missing in Action, but we also saw him in Rebels when the main characters met up with him, Wolf, and Rex. Once they get Gregor out of his cell, they find out that the stormtroopers are doing
There's no way past them.
He says that he can redirect them, so he tries to use the clone codes, but it doesn't work, and on the screen it shows the words in Orbesh, "Access denied." This causes an alarm to go off, and they start to run away from the troopers. After they take out a few, Hunter says,
"I thought you said you trained these guys."
I didn't teach them everything. That wouldn't be very smart, would it?
Another kind of running gag about how the stormtroopers are infamous for being terrible shots with their blasters. They get into the elevator, and the screen shows floor, and when it changes, it goes to enter access code. They then start to go through the exhaust ports, and Echo asks Gregor how he ended up here, and he says,
I was sent here with other commandos, and quickly realized I wanted out. It turns out the Empire doesn't take too kindly to desertion.
This is yet another example of the clone troopers not going along with direct orders of the Empire's commands, even though they have inhibitor chips in them. Wrecker and Omega then come to pick them up, and Wrecker begins to shoot live rounds at the stormtroopers, which I kind of find interesting because for all Wrecker knows, he's shooting at other clone troopers who are being forced to work for the Empire against their will. At first, I thought he was doing this because they're all stormtroopers who are working for the Empire of their own accord, but then I realized that Wrecker was never told that. Tech starts to fly the ship, and on the screen it shows an Orbesh, shields active. After they get shot a lot, another red screen shows up, showing first shields inactive, then warning, then power danger 85%, then 78%. Omega then plugs the Gonk droid into the ship, powering it back up with the dashboard screen again showing shields active. They then get hit some more, and another screen shows up yet again, and it says damage warning. After the Bad Batch leave Hunter on Darrow, we cut to Kamino, where Vice Admiral Rampart says,
"A scientist I have use for. A politician, I do not."
Okay, so this could be something that could explain a lot of things that happen in The Mandalorian. So in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, they find the Imperial facility with cloning tubes, and Dr. Pershing was the person in charge of this operation. Dr. Pershing also had a Kamino patch on his arm, and the recruitment of Nala Se into the Empire could be what allowed them to start the process of trying to clone things, and maybe could be the reason that we got Palpatine cloned for the Rise of Skywalker. So, at the end of the episode, we see Hunter in a cell, and Crosshair walks up and says,
I was hoping for the whole squad, but you'll do.
So what I'm thinking is that Crosshair is going to have an inhibitor chip implanted into Hunter. I'm thinking that Hunter could be either used to infiltrate the Bad Batch and take them down from the inside, or maybe he could be used to partner with Crosshair and take them down from the outside. Another thing that has happened a couple of times is clone troopers defecting from the orders that were given to them by the Empire, even though they have inhibitor chips. I'm thinking that because Order 66 happened a while ago, the inhibitor chips are starting to wear off and stop working. This could be another reason for why the Empire is so adamant about getting rid of the clones, because they know that their inhibitor chips are going to expire eventually. Alright, so a few things did happen this episode. Gregor is now on the Bad Batch's ship, and Hunter is now being held by the Empire, presumably to be used by Crosshair. And I really enjoyed watching this week's episode, and I really think it fit well with the show so far. I had no problems with it, except for the little confusion as to why Wrecker was shooting live rounds at what he thought was other clone troopers, but other than that, I think this was one of the stronger episodes that we've gotten this season, and I can't wait to break down the final 2 episodes for you guys. Before you go, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified for every future Bad Batch episode breakdown. If you enjoyed this week's breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, it's super helpful. And if you know someone who's watching Bad Batch, please consider sharing this with them. Put down any questions or comments, and let me know what you think Crosshair is going to do with Hunter. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next breakdown.